Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is an episode of the Unshakeable Founder. My name's Josh. I've talked about before that this is my journey to 10K months, but I kind of want to change that. Rather than have it being focused on what I'm trying to accomplish in terms of what I earn, I want to talk more about a vision that I have, which is to help 100 entrepreneurs get out of their own way and start making more money and more impact. So I'm going to frame this as my journey to helping 100 entrepreneurs and first-time founders. Let's dive right into this. So I'm changing up the structure a little bit. I'm going to start off with a short story and the lesson. Then I'm going to touch on personal updates, and then I'll talk about some of the experiences that I've been having in my business. And yeah, we'll go from there. So first, just a really quick story. So it has been incredible watching my son learn things for the first time. So this week, he's been pushing stuff around in our living room, like pushing his toys. Sometimes we get Amazon packages and he'll just want to push the box around on the carpet in our living room. And anytime he hits a snag that prevents him from pushing the box, he gets incredibly frustrated and just starts yelling his head off. So the first few times I kind of showed him, okay, if you hit something that blocks you, you can pick it up and kind of turn it around, or shift positions, pivot, and keep pushing it. And so maybe like 2 or 3 times I did this for him, and then I'd stop. The next day, my wife comes home from picking him up and he starts pushing stuff around. He hits a snag, he hits a roadblock, and he gets pissed and he gets frustrated, yells, hits the thing that he's trying to push, and he gives up. The next day, this is Wednesday, yesterday, he's pushing stuff around and he hits the wall. So this is after a few days of repeating the same things over and over. So yesterday he's pushing a box around, hits the wall, and he calmly picks up the box, kind of pivots his body, puts it back down, and keeps pushing it. And it was just like the most incredible thing to see, because I don't even know like when he's practiced this, because the prior days he had just been getting frustrated, hitting the thing, yelling, getting frustrated. But all of a sudden yesterday, it just something clicked with him, and he figured out how to shift positions to pivot. And I think there's a really important lesson here, where there are times when we get stuck on things. And a lot of the times we get so hyper focused on what it is that we're stuck with that we don't realize that we can just kind of take a broader view and pivot just slightly, but still in the direction that we want to go, and then keep moving forward. And I thought that was just an incredible lesson to learn from watching my son learn new things. And I think this is especially helpful in my personal situation, because I've been stuck on something, and I'll share it a bit later, but I realized that I could just, slightly pivot my direction, but still heading in the same general direction and keep moving forward. So that's my quick story, my quick share. And yeah, let's jump into some personal updates. So the first thing is, I had an interview yesterday with a corporate architecture firm, and it went better than I expected. So I think the person that interviewed me ended up really, really liking my overall personality, my demeanor, the way I answered the questions that I asked. And he already set up a second interview with the CEO of the firm. So I have that scheduled for a week and a half from now. And he kind of straight out mentioned in the interview, like, she's going to love you. Just a bit of advice: when she asks you about where you want to fall on the salary range, he said, just ask for the highest level. All right. Like, just do me a favor and ask for the highest level. And I'm like, all right, I will. And I appreciate the advice. In just getting to know him briefly in that 1 hour talk, he very clearly came across as the type of leader or the type of mentor that offers you, like, he doesn't hold back information. He offers you like all of the advice he possibly can. And he kind of openly admitted that he's done it to the point where he kind of has this underlying mission of giving people so much knowledge that they move on to bigger and better things, and that they don't stay stuck there. And so him mentioning that kind of eased this discomfort that I had going into it about, I have to go back to a 9 to 5. I have to go back to a full-time job. And this is something that I've been mentally dealing with because, I left architecture about a year and a half ago, and going back kind of feels like taking a step back, but this is something that I absolutely need to do because it's the responsible thing to do. Like, I haven't quite figured out how to consistently make money. I've made a little bit in my business, but not enough to sustain the cost of living here in Southern California. And it's tough. Touching back on last week, I talked about an uncomfortable money conversation that I had with my wife, and actually I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, just the update is that I had the interview, it went well. I have a second follow-up interview, and it looks like I'm going to be jumping back into architecture here probably within the next month. And that's just to bring in additional income to our family that puts us in a better position financially, in terms of being more financially secure, more financially stable. But it's going to take away a lot of my time that I'm using to learn about ways that I can grow the business, ways that I can change the way I pitch my offer, so it's going to really force me to get much more intentional and focused in terms of what my actual objectives are when I do work on the business. And so there's going to be this whole balancing act, another baby on the way by the end of the year. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be so crazy. But I'm going to be updating everything here, including, once the baby's born, I will be here sharing my experiences from the weeks. But yeah, so that's one update. The other update, did I have another update? I actually don't think I had another update with regard to that. But yeah, so I want to touch quickly on the experience, I guess, in reflecting on the conversation that my wife and I had last week, this uncomfortable money conversation that I touched on the last episode, where I kind of came to the realization that I still have, I guess you could say, unaddressed money mindset challenges. And what I mean by that is, I have no issues managing it. I have no issues in, overspending. I have no challenges in asking for it, right? Like, that's something that you have to kind of address when you become an entrepreneur. You're going to have to, especially when you're service based, right? You're trading your value and your skills and, in the way that you support others by asking for money, by asking people to invest in themselves, but you're essentially asking them for money. And there's no issues with me on that. Where the issue comes in is, in reflecting on this, I realize that where it kind of hits or where it kind of hurts is that because of the fact that I'm not generating enough to support my family, it makes me feel this sense of inadequacy. And that's the tough part, because if you decide to go all in on a business and you don't have a financial runway, right? You don't have, and I did. But essentially what it was my savings, my investments, and I've drained quite a bit of that. And I don't have much left. And so the money that we do have is, and this is a whole other topic of conversation, but like, my wife has, her savings, her investments. And I'm getting dangerously close to tapping into that. And so I know we're married, right? And we shouldn't. Everyone handles money differently in marriages, in partnerships, and ideally, I think we would have a joint account that deals with general expenditures that we both contribute towards, which is like the rent, utilities, groceries, all things like that. But then I am supportive of the idea of having two separate accounts where she can spend on whatever she wants and I can spend on whatever I want without having to, unless it's like a really big expenditure, without having to really discuss with her what it is that I'm buying. And that's kind of the way we've operated. But the fact that I've spent so much time just trying to gain clarity in my business in terms of who I'm helping, and what my niche is, and how I help people, how I support people in my coaching. All of that has taken so much time to figure out. There was just so much clarity that I didn't realize I needed in order to get to where I am now. But I'm glad that I am here. I'm grateful for the experiences that I'm getting in pursuing this. Just because I'm going back to corporate, right? I'm going back to corporate architecture and working a full-time job does not mean that I'm going to be giving up on this. That has never been a thought that has crossed my mind, right? And the way that I had to frame it in the interview was that, this business is supplemental in income to the primary income that I want, which is architecture. And, at the moment, that's currently true. Until I figure out ways to position my offer in a way that is just a no-brainer, right, for the people that I'm trying to reach. And I feel like I'm getting closer every single day. But at the same time, so here's another update. So I joined a boot camp that Russell Brunson is putting on called Offer Secrets. And in it, he breaks down, it was a masterclass with, I'm trying to remember her. I know her last name is McCall, but she's a very high energy girl who works with Russell Brunson. And she gave a masterclass on one aspect of this bootcamp, which was how to package your offer. So there's the actual problem, like deep diving into the problem, positioning the problem, packaging the offer, and then pitching the offer. That's what the bootcamp covers. And it came with an accountability partner. It comes with the actual course, the deep dive in understanding how to like basically form the offer and pitch it to the people that you're trying to pitch to. I've loved this bootcamp so far. I'm only 2 days into it, and it's only like a week and a half long. But I'm learning that there is so much. It's just like one of those things, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the pyramid of competence. So at the bottom you have like unconscious incompetence, like you don't know what you don't know, right? Then you have conscious incompetence, like you realize there's a lot you don't know, which is like kind of the stage that I'm entering now. Being 9 months in, it's crazy to think like 9 months into this, like admittedly, I'm a slow learner, especially when it comes to business, right? I had zero marketing, zero sales experience. So it's taking me some time, but in expanding my knowledge by taking these boot camps, by reading more books, I'm reading a book right now called Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. And man, that like all of this stuff is just expanding my mind to the possibilities. And it's closing what I call the believability gap, the dream life believability gap. And that's the place between what you believe is possible for you and your actual dream life. There's a path there that's completely shrouded by fog that all of you have. Like you all have this dream life believability gap. And the distance between those two things can be influenced by your circumstances, your experiences, a whole host of of external factors that play into who you are, what you think, what you believe, the stories you tell yourself. And so I've been on a mission to kind of break all of those limiting beliefs and close that believability gap, because I am going to achieve the things that I am looking to achieve, not just for myself, but for my family and for all of the people that I'm looking to inspire and impact in order for them to change their own lives, right? Because once I figure this thing out and it takes off, like, there's going to be no stopping me. I'm going to be, sharing as much as I possibly can with all of you. And these early stages is just, I'm starting to find it even, like, I thought it was fun before. Yes, it's painful, it's challenging, but I've always found this stuff fun. Even if I'm learning at a pace that's slower than other people, but that's beside the point. The point is, I'm going to figure this out. Even if it takes me 5 to 10 years, 15 years, it still will be worth it because of the sense of intrinsic motivation that I have to have this impact, to have this change. I believe with all my being that people who crave the freedom that they're looking for by pursuing a business that excites them, and ideally that's what it is, right? That's a business that excites them so that they can have the impact and the lifestyle that they want. That's what I'm trying to encourage, right? I'm trying to encourage like multiple generations of first-time founders who are getting in their own way because of the things that they've experienced in their own life. So this has been this whole like tangent of things that I'm talking about, but I think overall I've covered everything I've wanted to talk about today. I'm trying to think of if there's any other business updates that I can make. Oh, so I think I mentioned last week that the client that I had landed kind of backed out a few days later, but she reached back out to me and she wants to see if there's another way that we can make this work. And, at this point, I don't really have much to lose, right? Like, what she's offering is kind of a set of skills that she has, an experience that she has, as an equal form of value exchange, right? So she would teach me some things and I would run her through my program and hopefully get her the results that she's looking for. But in watching the replay of the discovery call that I had with her, I realized that there were areas where I can improve in terms of getting to know where they are in their business, because ultimately the place that I can help them with is if they already have the tactics, the business tactics and strategies to grow their business, but they're just getting in their own way, right? They're just telling themselves that, they can't do it, or they're not good enough, or they don't deserve it. Whatever the mindset block is, that's what I help them push past so that they can start to get out of their own way and start to execute on the things they know they can do, or the things that they know that they need to get done so that they can start bringing in that revenue. And so ultimately that's what my offer, what my outcome is for the offer, which is, at this point, it's either more leads or generating 5K plus for first-time founders who are making under 10K per month. So it'll be interesting to have the conversation with her. I have that meeting set up for tomorrow evening, which is a Friday. Is there a fly? I think there's a fly on the lens. I don't know if you saw that, but anyway. I have that meeting with her. I will update you guys as to how that goes next week, whether or not I have her as a client. But if I do, then I will. I'm still looking to get 4 more clients, and I've been. Oh, so another update is I've been doing my DM outreach, and I've been pitching like this really short offer that I went through, and actually this offer that this quick pitch offer that I initially hit people with as a cold DM, I I showed it to my business coach, plus this other guy who has literally messaged or like cold DM'd thousands of people. And I shared my message with them, and they liked it. Then I ran it through Claude AI and basically had it rate it in terms of how well it would convert to a sales call on a scale of 1 to 10. And so when I initially pitched it, it was like a 5. Refined it to have it sound like me, but like, more confident and very matter of fact, very short and to the point. I don't want to waste people's time. And I got it to about a 9.5, and right now I'm at about 40. I'm at about 40 DMs over the past few days, which is, I need to do more. That's for sure. And my goal, over the next month or so is to get to 1,000. So the conversion rate so far has been around anywhere between like 13 to 15%. So I've had like, I don't know what that is. It's like 5 to 6 people respond saying, I'm interested, tell me more. So, I'm generating interest with what my offer is. I've actually gained followers from doing that. People that have not responded have gone back and followed me without responding to the message. And then I see them comment on some of my stuff. So overall, it's yielded generally good results. But now that I'm going through Russell Brunson's thing, his bootcamp on the offer, the whole offer thing, the positioning, the packaging, and the pitching, I anticipate that I will have better luck once I'm done with this bootcamp. And then if I land, a first paid client from the bootcamp, then I think they offer like a discounted upgrade to how they can get me to land even more clients. So we'll see how it all goes. I'll update you guys on that next week. That's it for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it, found some value from it, and I will see you next week.